Good evening. This is Jeffrey Bennett. I'm living here in Port St. Lucie, Florida. I chose the Blowing Rocks Preserve because of its rather fascinating geology. The Blowing Rocks Preserve is most famous for its Anastasia Formation. This is a coquina-heavy limestone deposit that was deposited about 130,000 years ago. I always thought Florida was kind of boring, geologically speaking. I mean, it's not Colorado, it's not the mighty Rockies, it's not upstate New York with all of the glaciation and ancient Appalachian mountains, and so it has always come to us as a surprise to me, especially during these classes, that Florida is actually really fascinating. The beginnings of Florida, as I tell my students, Florida just didn't appear. That Florida actually is a piece of Africa. That when Pangea broke up, some of the basement rock from Africa had sutured onto southern Laurasia, southern North America, and the suture, they are pretty sure, is going through southern Georgia. So that was very interesting. And my students always kind of loved that story. So Florida started as a piece of Africa, not even a piece of North America. And so the basement rock then was underwater for millions of years, all through the Mesozoic, building up all of this carbonate deposition that we have beneath our feet, all this lovely karst topography that we've got. Underwater in these warm waters, just like the Bahamas or the Florida Keys today. And so over time, the Appalachian Mountains up north, they were weathering, they were eroding, sediment was coming down, but Florida was protected. Florida had what was called the Gulf Trough or Swanee Seaway or Georgia Seaway. It's got many names, but what it was a channel through northern Florida and southern Georgia that went and followed the line all the way out to South Carolina, where it emptied into the brand new Atlantic Ocean again. So this was kind of like a northern Gulf Stream, and it swept all those sediments away. And it wasn't until recently, until the Miocene, that there was an uplift in the Appalachian Mountains, and weathering and erosion took place a lot faster, and the Gulf Seaway got filled up, and all of that sediment then had a chance to come down into Florida, and it buried Florida in all this sediment, and it caused the beaches and the ridges, the Lake Wales Ridge, and of course it allowed all of the Ice Age animals to come in and live, and it was a fantastic time for Florida. The Blowing Rocks Preserve is a remnant of that. Blowing Rocks Preserve would have gotten its sand from the longshore currents that brought down the sediments from the Appalachian Mountains. And you can see that in the sand. You can see orange pieces of feldspar and some of the dark phosphates, and lots of that really nice cloudy and really clear quartz. I have samples of sand from the Atlantic Ridge, and that is what we call sugar sand down here. And this sugar sand is just pure clear quartz. It's gorgeous. Once that sand was out in the ocean and around, the coquina, the Anastasia Formation, was deposited. That sand came in and covered it over. And then now today, that Anastasia Formation, the Blowing Rocks Preserve, has one of the largest exposures of the Anastasia Formation. Usually that coquina, all of that limestone is underground, okay? I mean, it extends well into the ocean, extends well inland, but there are no exposures. There is one other Anastasia Formation exposure. It's a road cut in West Palm Beach that I visited. This big, great walls of rock, the only road cut that I know of in Florida, which is really weird for something that's essentially flat. So anyway, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy my brochure, and have a good evening.